In today's video, we're going to be reacting to The Truth About MrSavage. Now, this video is made by Timmy FNBR, who makes some amazing Fortnite documentaries. I will leave a link to his channel in my description below, and let's get into the video.
In the world of Fortnite, new young players appear out of
Asian
nowhere.
Jeff, Asian Jeff, Asian Jeff, Asian Jeff.
Bombas!
Nice.
But just as fast as they show up, they can also fall off and disappear.
Don't talk about myths like that.
On what I've done and feel good about it, you know.
There are very
I don't
few
like
players
that's
in
messed
the
up.
fast-moving world of esports that manage to
Canada.
make long-term successful careers.
I wasn't Canada.
So
Think about
today,
Lucas.
I will be telling the story of one of the smartest, highest-earning, and longest-standing pro players, MrSavage.
MrSavage, who just retired,
Martin
actually.
Foss Anderson was born on the 12th of November in 2004. He grew up in Oslo, Norway, alongside of his brother.
I live in Oslo in Norway. I really love the fact that I grew up here. In the winter, I like cross-country skiing and slalom, but I think my favorite activity outside is playing football with my brother.
As you can see from that clip, Martin and his brother were very active and also very competitive.
My brother and I have always been competitive, play a game of chess, playing ping pong, and it's always fun.
Eventually, however, this competition moved away from just sports and developed into video games. And on September 26th of 2017, a new game came out that would change MrSavage's life forever.
Now talk
Fortnite.
Fortnite, shall we? It's the newest video game craze spreading across fast among kids, college kids, even celebrities.
The Fortnite craze took the entire world by storm, and MrSavage was no different. Savage's brother was actually one of the first people to pick up the game and was also the one that introduced him to it.
My brother has a big role when it comes to my Fortnite career. He introduced me to the game, so without him, I maybe wouldn't even have started playing the game.
Oh, snap. That's crazy.
At the beginning, we played a lot of games. I was better than him, and then he just exploded and took over.
Martin had to pick a
that's what
gamer
happens so
tag
far.
to use in game, and after some fine-tuning, he eventually landed on MrSavage.
How do you come on MrSavage?
I was like 12, and then my name was Savage Boy. And then I was like, what the f? And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be like Mr. Beast and do MrSavage.
And he
Oh,
ended up
sick.
absolutely falling in love with the game.
Fortnite kind of chose me. It came at the perfect time for me because I was homeschooled when it came out, so I had a lot of time to play. I just kept grinding it, man, and then started
Nice.
streaming, everything went well.
Since MrSavage was already homeschooled, he didn't have to worry much about homework or the typical school schedule like a lot of the other pro players we've talked about.
Gotcha.
Instead, Savage just got to focus all of his time on playing the game. And because he enjoyed it so much, he wanted to share that passion with others, and he started uploading gameplay to his YouTube channel. MrSavage launched his YouTube on April 23rd of 2015, and he would upload his first video just a few years later on March 22nd of 2018. His first video is titled Fortnite 286 meter jumping no scope with hunting rifle, and the video shows exactly that.
No scope.
Oh, he hit that.
Shortly after uploading his first YouTube video, Martin decided that he also wanted to live stream. So he booted up his stream for the first time on May 11th
Smart
of
move.
2018, just a few months after starting YouTube. He spent month after month streaming to really low viewers, but at the end of the
That's how you
day,
gotta
it
start.
didn't matter because he was just having a great time playing the game. That
Absolutely.
being said, after 6 months of streaming and posting videos, Savage would slowly work his way up to 50,000 subscribers on December 9th of 2018. And because Savage had been playing the game so much, or maybe because he was just naturally gifted, he started to notice that he was really good at the game. But there was only one problem. At this early time of Fortnite, they didn't really have any sort of esports league for Fortnite. And when they did start out with some small tournaments limited to creators and pro players, there was no opportunity for Savage to compete because at the time he was only 14 years old. And the age to compete in early Fortnite, for those of you that don't know, was 16 years old.
Oh,
And
I
this
thought it
meant
was
that Savage wouldn't
14.
be able
I
to
thought
compete
13 years
in any
old.
official Fortnite tournaments.
Yeah, so I've been playing Fortnite since like the first month of it being released. And at the start, I couldn't play any of the very early events of Fortnite because of the age limit. The age limit was like, I think it was 16 or 18. I mean, I was like, please lower the age limit, please.
Luckily for Savage, early on in 2019, the age limit was lowered to 13.
There, that's what I'm
He was
thinking of.
finally able to compete and sign with an esports team. Because even though he wasn't officially competing, all of the orgs had their eyes on this new up-and-coming pro named Savage. And the team that wanted him the most and who got him was NRG.
Ooh, energy. Dang.
Oh, my headshot, my headshot.
Savage's signing to NRG shocked everyone. A 14-year-old joining a major gaming org is pretty normal now. But back then, esports had been dominated by players that were in their early to late 20s. Games like Call of Duty and Counter-Strike had been around for so long that most of their player base was in that age range. So when somebody signed for a team under 18, it was notable. But 14?
Yeah,
14 years old was absolutely insane, especially back then.
That's
and
nuts.
shortly after joining NRG, MrSavage would team up with another young Fortnite prodigy named Fishy. This dynamic duo teamed up for their first ever official Fortnite event on February 15th of 2019, and it was the Share the Love Cup. And although there weren't any official cash prizes for this event, soon enough they would get the opportunity to win millions.
Nice.
The Fortnite World Cup. The Fortnite World Cup starts on April 13th, when all eligible Fortnite players from around the world will be able to compete in the weekly online opens. Each online open has a prize pool of $1 million.
$1 million.
That's 10 weeks and $10 million up for grabs. And it's all online.
Nice.
In each region, the top performing players from the online opens will earn a spot in the Fortnite World Cup Finals in New York City to compete for their share of a $30 million prize.
Because of their incredibly strong placements in the EU region, MrSavage and Benji were strong contenders going into the World Cup qualifiers. And especially after being signed to a team like NRG, the expectations and pressure were at an all-time high. And because of this duo's extraordinary skill and all of the tournaments that they were playing live, MrSavage ended up getting a lot more traffic to his YouTube and Twitch accounts. And more specifically, he would hit 300,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. And Savage was getting tens of thousands of viewers on every stream. And that's insane considering he's 14 years old. And just a year earlier, he was streaming to 7 or 8 viewers consistently. That just goes to show you that if you do something long enough and you put your heart into it, you can 100% succeed. Anyways, right before the World Cup qualifiers started, Epic Games held a World Cup warm-up event so everyone could get used to the new point system. And just as everybody expected, Savage and Benji absolutely dominated.
One guy left, one guy left. That's it.
Think it's empty.
Watch out for your mats. You might have
nice.
mats. Who knows?
Going out. On me.
Nice,
back to back. We got 15 kills this one, dude. Let's fucking go.
This crazy duo placed first in Europe, winning the boys $2,500 each. And they would not stop there, because the World Cup qualifiers would start on April 13th, and they continued their domination on the EU circuit. The first week of qualifiers that Savage competed in was actually the week 2 of qualifiers, the first week of duos. And then once again, they would place first in all of Europe, being the first duo on Europe to qualify for the World Cup. And this time, they both won $5,000
Nice.
each.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're chilling, bro. We're chilling. Let's go.
Nice, dude. They're dominating.
Straight to New York City for the big LAN event. But just because they were already going to the World Cup didn't mean they were going to skip out on the rest of the qualifiers. And plus, Savage still needed to qualify for the solo event. In week 3, Savage got 19th place, which was awesome, but not good enough to qualify for the World Cup solos.
Right.
So in the next week of solos, which was week 5 of qualifiers, he went all out. He ended up placing 4th and winning $2,500 and a solo World Cup qualifying spot.
Ada limbs this game. They've got to go up the side of a mountain, and it's Shadow Bomb time. Look at how awkward this is. He's getting completely blocked and out. He's deciding to take storm damage. Yes. Mr. Savage! Oh, no!
What?
Oh my
Pure
God!
genius.
Oh,
I remember this. This is sick. I've seen this clip.
What a play! The best Shadow Bomb use I've ever seen! Mr. Savage M rising to the top.
How did he have that
like his
movement?
plain will when this freak of nature probably goes to New York.
Holy shit.
Please, come on. I'm 5th right now. Yeah, it's me 5th. Yeah, all the games must be over.
Bro.
Let's fucking go! Holy shit. I'm so fucking happy right
Savage.
now. I'm gonna go watch my replays, dude.
After all was said and done, Savage won $18,700
insane.
before the World Cup even started, just by playing in all the qualifiers. So now all he had left to do was go to the big tournament, and he flew all the way from Norway down to the United States, hoping to win big. Going into the tournament, they were definitely fan favorites. Unfortunately, the games wouldn't exactly work out in Savage's favor. During the
No.
duos competition, him and Benji
I hate
placed
watching
14th,
these,
which was
'cause I'm
only
always
4
rooting for them
placements
to
away
win.
from the next tier of earnings.
Okay.
And although this was a huge disappointment to both Savage and Benji, they still did really well considering their age, and they had to prepare for solos the next day. So with everything on the line, the young Mr. Savage sat down and placed 29th out of 100 players.
Dang.
And just to be clear, neither of these placements were bad, but they
No.
just weren't as good as Savage wanted to do based on how much they were dominating EU during the qualifiers.
Exactly.
But Fortnite World Cup was just the start of Savage's career, because on the final day of the World Cup, Fortnite would announce FNCS, also known as the Fortnite Championship Series. Every Fortnite season would now have a series of qualifier tournaments to get into the major grand finals at the end of the season. Because of this switch up, a ton of players were now looking for new teammates whose playstyles worked well with the new meta. This included Mr. Savage. And while he and Benji were still on good terms, and evidently still close friends, they decided not to play together during the FNCS Season X.
His arm.
Instead, Savage would team up with a new trio, Rojo and Item, where they finished in 7th place. Savage actually wouldn't
DreamHack, let's
compete
go.
in the Chapter 2 Season 1 FNCS, but he did travel all the way back to the United States, and more specifically Anaheim, California, to compete in DreamHack. For those of you not familiar with esports events, DreamHack is known for being a BYOC, or Bring Your Own Computer LAN event. They're highly regarded events in various esports like CSGO, Overwatch,
Wait, you
Street
actually bring your
Fighter,
own computer?
Rocket League, and more. This was one of the earliest events, however, that had a Fortnite DreamHack. It was hosted on February 23rd of 2020 and had some of the best players from around the world. People like Savage's ex-duo Benji Fishy and other seasoned American pros like Kanata and Epic Whale were all in attendance.
Well, I traveled to LA, you know, mainly for the Anaheim DreamHack tournaments. So it's a solo tournament. A lot of good players are playing. So going to LA, it's nice getting to meet people that do the same thing as me.
The LAN itself had a multi-day qualifier, and only the best of the best would make it to the final day of competition.
With DreamHack Anaheim, the format was like
100
first
thieves.
day, I think 200 people out of the 1,200 participating would qualify for the semifinals.
Right.
And day 2, there were semis, which would be top 100 out of the 400 people that qualified, and then the last day would be finals.
Got you.
Mr. Savage had really high hopes, trying to place in the top 5 and make up for the fact that he didn't do as well as he wanted in the World Cup.
I mean, going to NA and, you know, competing against a lot of NA players, it'll be good.
It'll make him better too. That's the
I
thing.
feel like they have a different playstyle, which would, you know, suit mine really well. Well, my main goal is placing top 5. What would be super nice is obviously winning. I think everyone wants to win. But yeah, if I get top 5, I think I'll be like, you know, that's good, I met my goals. But you know, I wanna place first.
He ended up doing insanely well during the qualifiers, placing first out of all 1,200 people that were at the event.
Oh my gosh, dude.
After placing first in the first day of qualifiers, it was definitely a big confidence boost because at the start there was 1,200 players, narrowed down to 400, and then I managed to come out on top. Like I said, I'm just here to like prove everyone that I'm, you know, a good player, and prove to myself that I'm a good player. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm obviously here for a little bit of money as well, but
of course.
Yeah.
But to have fun.
Let's
but
not
to
lie
win.
about that. So do you think do you have a chance to win?
Yeah, my goal is like top 3, top 5, but I think I have a good chance of winning, yeah.
Why?
Why what?
Why do you have a good chance to winning?
I
Who is
think
this
You have
interview?
that no one else has.
I have a big brain. Like most Fortnite players, they just go for eliminations and just don't really have any like major strategies, and yeah, like I have everything planned.
And while first place in the qualifiers was impressive, it didn't guarantee that he would do well in the finals.
Right.
But like always, Savage was going to do his best and hopefully dominate the competition. Somehow, Savage did even better during the final day of the LAN than he did in qualifiers, and even ran into some friendly faces along the way.
In the first game of DreamHack Online Finals, me and Benji, we actually bumped into each other in Lazy Lake. I think I sniped him twice.
Oh.
I did like 250 damage to him. I kind of griefed this game. It wasn't on purpose. I knew it was Benji, but it wasn't like
personal.
Honestly, I kind of hope that you like. I needed a kill after that. I needed a kill. Like it was. In tilted? Yeah. What do you mean in tilted? In lazy. Oh, in lazy. What? Who are you? What? Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. I pre-fired. Yeah. I wanted.
Benji doesn't even look like
I
that,
think
and it's crazy.
You definitely feel like worse for people when you kill them in a bigger event, because like, let's say I get a kill, right, and then I see that it pops up with like my friend's name, and I'm like, oh, why can it have been someone else, right? Because obviously I don't want them to do bad.
And after games 4 and 5, Savage was a clear front runner for first place.
After game 4 and 5, I was really happy because I was first place.
Nice.
And yeah, I knew I just had to keep it up because, as I said earlier, my goal was to maintain like 40 points average a game, and I think I had like 55 points average a game, so I was doing really well.
That's crazy.
And I knew even if I had a couple bad games, I could still place first.
And then he did it. He finally redeemed himself and got first place.
When I was like top 5 in the last game, I raised my hands off my keyboard and I was like, I think I just won this.
It's Savage versus Benji Fishy, ex-Morg teammates, 100 Thieves versus NRG on low ground. Wahai watches, and Savage says no as he blocks him off. It's a 1v1. Savage, the next RPG comes.
Dude, that's actually
One shot
insane.
misses. It's another chance. He goes for the dive. No match. Here we go. Odinite dodges the shot. Savage still up top. The fourth shot hits.
Dude, that's crazy. Even if he would have lost that, I think he would have won, right?
In a single game, too. After all day,
Oh, is that dead?
we just watched. We watched the man break a world record
Probably not.
today for points in DreamHack Anaheim.
Not only was this win huge, it also broke LAN event records.
It's time to crown ourselves.
Dude, he won.
DreamHack featuring Fortnite champions here for DreamHack Anaheim 2020. After 8 games of grueling competition, he acquired 400 points. Recently signed none other than 100 Thieves, MrSavage.
Insane.
Yeah, so like lifting a trophy like that is definitely been like a big dream for me. Being able to stand on top of the podium and just raise your hand and just scream out of pure joy. Yeah,
That
it's
is
definitely a big moment.
sick.
And while this win was an incredible moment for everyone involved, it was also a little bit bittersweet, because little did we know at the time, this would be the last ever Fortnite LAN event before the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown. Admittedly,
Gotcha.
the lockdown didn't really affect gamers like me very much. It's not like I really leave my house and touch grass anyway. Plus, most of Fortnite's main
Timmy.
season was online. However, unfortunately, these LAN events do require you to venture out into the real world and enter huge esports arenas, but with all public gatherings being banned, we wouldn't get to see any worldwide competitions.
Right.
So,
Downfall.
with going outside being banned, everyone returned to FNCS, including MrSavage. And during Chapter 2, Season 2, he would duo with iDrop and placed 12th in the Grand Finals.
Nice.
It was around this time, after another poor Grands placement, that MrSavage decided to go back to Old Faithful and start playing with the GOAT Benji once again. Their first return as a duo was during the Contenders Cash Cup on May 14th of 2020, and they'd continue to play on and off for FNCS depending on the season. In early 2020, Fortnite decided to hold its first solo invitational FNCS, and on May 24th, MrSavage would place 15th, earning himself $3,000. This was followed up by the infamous solo FNCS season, which was Chapter 2, Season 3, and unfortunately, Savage did even worse, placing 57th in EU. Going into the next season, however, Epic would switch things up and head back to trios. And with this, his placements would drastically improve, as he got 8th place in the Chapter 2 Season 4 Grands with Benji, Fishy, and Letchi. And then the next season, he would get 8th place once again, this time with iDrop and Tayson. But this was just the start in Chapter 2 for Savage, because in Chapter 2, Season 6, the EU Grand Finals would be held on May 30th of 2021, and they would be one of the best finales we would ever see in Fortnite. Everyone brought their A-game to EU this year, and after the first day of Grand Finals, MrSavage was on top of the leaderboard with his trio, Andretta and Refsguard, but only winning by 1 single point.
Speaking of a top 10, we gotta take a look at EU's current standings, right? Which trios ended in top 10 coming into day number 2. Refsguard, Andretta, MrSavage. But right behind them, Hen, Janice, Chapix, your trios champion from last season. These two trios trading places all day yesterday, boys, and now they're looking to make this an all-out brawl.
Savage and his team knew they had to go above and beyond during day 2 to be able to comfortably win this season. But unfortunately, the rest of the European region had their own plans that day. After a cutthroat day 2, MrSavage, along with Andretta and Refsguard, just barely missed out on first place, falling behind Queasy's trio by just 17 points.
Real in their sights could win it all right here, right now.
Looks like I don't see Savage alive either. It could be a matter of just moments and mere points right there, but it seems as though Queasy, Truex, and Jerky have done enough to wrap up the FNCS.
And while second place is incredible, I can only imagine that Savage felt a little bit disappointing, considering they were in first place going into day 2, and he was still looking for his first ever tournament win. But I'm sure the $70,000 each that his trio took home will at least make him feel a little better.
Yeah,
anyway, the trio would decide to stick together again for one more season, but after placing 11th in Chapter 2, Season 7, they swapped out Refsguard for MrSavage's old duo once again, Benji Fishy. This new trio unfortunately did even worse, placing 23rd in Chapter 2, Season 8, but they did decide to stick together for the 2021 Grand Royale and managed to improve a little bit, placing 15th. Following this whirlwind of teammates and solos and trios, Epic Games decided to announce that they were returning to duos.
Oh, that was a crazy
This was a huge and welcomed change. Plus, it meant that MrSavage didn't have to worry who to team up with, because everybody knew he was going to go back and duo with his good buddy, Benji Fishy. The total throwback duo played together for Chapter 3's Season 1 and Season 2, and unfortunately, they didn't do too hot. They would place 36th in Season 1 and 45th in Season 2, but at least they were consistently qualifying for Grands. Unfortunately, they had bigger aspirations, and that meant that the duo were officially broken up. They no longer played together, and Chapter 3 Season 2 would be the last time we'd ever see Benji and Savage play together competitively. However, it wasn't because of the reasons people normally have for breaking up with a duo. It wasn't because of low placements or they had some weird drama fallout. It was actually because
MrSavage is insane though.
He wanted to switch video games entirely.
I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible, but I am officially quitting competitive Fortnite to pursue Valorant. Recently, I've fell out of love with Fortnite. I used to be able to play Fortnite like 8-10 hours a day, but even last season I was only playing during the tournaments just because I really couldn't force myself to get on the game. The reason I always wanted to be a pro gamer was because I always wanted to have a job that I enjoyed. So for me right now, it seems pointless carrying on something that I don't enjoy.
Dude, that's crazy.
And with Benji Fishy gone, that means Savage would have to make a new friend. And for the upcoming FNCS, he landed on a new duo named Hen.
Well, I'm playing with Hen, so my expectations for this FNCS they're pretty big. I want to get on top again. Hopefully we can have an uncon POI. And we're practicing a lot. Even though like the first 2 cash clips that we played, it hasn't gone too well. I think we can improve and get ready for FNCS and we'll do good.
The duo would only play together for Chapter 3 Season 3, placing 26th in the Grand Finals and winning $3,000 each.
Nice.
He then teamed up with his old trio member iDrop for the FNCS Invitational, which was the first LAN event back since the World Cup. It was held live and in person at the Raleigh Convention Center in North Carolina on November 12th and 13th of 2022. But this event would have a $1 million prize pool. People were hyped for this tournament, and the convention center was filled. Fans everywhere were hyped for in-person events, and a lot of these new younger players would be playing their first ever LAN competition. At this point, Savage was one of the few remaining pro players from the World Cup, so he was at a slight advantage considering that competing live and in person at LAN events didn't make him uncomfortable at all. Unfortunately, however, this wasn't enough of an edge to help him place where he wanted, because they ended up finishing 31st out of 50 teams. However, the good news was that with this invitational, Fortnite was going to make its return to live in-person events, and that meant Savage would have another chance to redeem himself. On January 11th of 2023, Fortnite would announce later that year that they would be hosting an FNCS Global Championship 2023 in Copenhagen, Denmark. The announcement also confirmed that duos would remain the game mode going into 2023. And MrSavage's 2023 was rather uneventful. In fact, he didn't even qualify for the Global Championships in Major 1, Major 2, or Major 3, which meant that the last chance major, which was held on August 20th of 2023, would be Savage's one and only chance to qualify for the LAN event at the end of that year. Savage would duo with very popular player named Vidil. However, they weren't the only players competing for this spot at the LAN event. Other notable players like his old duo Hen, Moneymaker, and Japco had all been left out during previous majors, meaning that the competition was at an all-time high to try and get that spot. Luckily for Savage and Vidil, however, they destroyed all this competition and finished first place in EU, getting them their ticket to Copenhagen for the finals.
You never want to be in the last chance though, major there.
The standings. We're all here on eggshells right now, and here's who's made it to the big dance, topping off the leaderboard, Vidil and MrSavage, and we've seen some serious movement here.
This, of course, leads us to the FNCS Global Championship 2023. It would be held from October 13th to 15th, and it was the first ever FNCS held outside of North America. So Savage wouldn't have to travel too far, as he just hopped over a couple of countries. Savage and Vidil went into the first day of competition on day 2 of the tournament, which was the lower bracket. The only thing this duo had to do was make it into the top 25 out of 50 teams to make it to the final day of competition. And in fact, they did a lot more than that, as they would get first place on day 2 of the championship. However, on the grand finals on day 3, the team didn't exactly do as hot as they expected. They unfortunately got knocked out consistently in early game and ended up finishing in 36th place. So once again, Savage was disappointed, and because of this, Vidil and Savage decided to split up following the LAN. In his search for a new duo, Savage would end up playing with a ton of the best players in EU. You see, although Savage was getting older, he is an IGL TL, or an in-game leader, which means that he was not known for his youthful mechanics and fighting skills, but more his brain and smarts in the game.
Okay.
And that means some of the best fighters in the world wanted to play with him. He tried out duos Pink, Queasy, and eventually landed on the one and only Mongrel. The two of them duoed together for the entire 2024 season, but their placements weren't great. Although they qualified for Major 1, they placed only 39th.
Yeah,
And
I feel like
then
Mongrel
they
kind of
didn't
held
even
him back,
qualify
but that's
for
just
Major
me.
2. And because this duo was desperate to qualify for LAN, they made a very drastic decision and decided to travel across the world to North America to play the third major finals in NA instead of EU. However, this plan didn't exactly go how they thought it would, because although they thought the competition would be easier, they would end up placing 28th during Majors 3. But just because he didn't qualify for the LANs didn't mean that Savage was gone for good.
Right.
At the end of Globals, Epic Games announced some huge changes coming into Chapter 6 of FNCS. With Trios and Siphon making their big returns, it's clear that Savage wants in on the action. He's been playing Cash Cups and streaming a lot as well during the off-season, and making a ton of other content as well. So it's clear that MrSavage isn't going anywhere anytime soon. I, for one, would love to see Savage make a comeback and get that FNCS title that he's been chasing after for so long. Comment down below if you guys think Savage will ever win his first FNCS. Make sure to hit that subscribe button,
he retired.
and I will see you guys in the next video.
GG's.
Peace.
Thank you so much for watching the video. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. And if there's a video you want to see, let me know down in the comments below. Peace.